be back.
Welcome.
Happy August. I know, it's a full night. We might have to get a bigger venue. Knock down this wall or maybe just go someplace else. Who burnt their eyes today staring at the sun? I
What
love
sun? I didn't see it.
Yeah, I know, it was all cloudy.
Cloudy.
So I watched it on TV for like 3 seconds. I'm like, that's cool, bye.
See you later.
So, awesome. All right, Invest MWI, that's the name of our meetup here. And the mission that we have here is to bring together investors of all different levels, whether you've been doing this for 30 years and you have a ton of money coming in from your rentals, or you're just getting started and you haven't done anything. But the idea is to bring everybody together to provide an environment for relevant real estate investment education, and then a place to grow your personal network. Quick disclaimer here, the material and content presented today is for educational purposes only. It's not legal advice, don't take it that way. The content presented is a recollection of the speaker's personal experiences, their successes and or failures. Consult with your own professionals before you engage in any activities presented here. The success of the speaker is not a guarantee that you will be successful. So, before I get into our success story spotlight, where we like to highlight someone who just completed a flip, a rental, or something like that, since we met last month, anyone do anything exciting? Close on a deal, put something under contract, sell something? Alex?
Under contract.
Okay, what'd you put? You don't have to give us a specific,
It's a multi-unit in East Chicago.
Okay.
I've got the largest comp in Maryville now, under contract. Rehab home, 270,000 square, it's like 5,000 square foot.
So you finally beat Chris?
I think so, we'll see if it freezes out, but
I'm trying to work with JT for the highest comp in Cal Township, but we're struggling with the appraiser didn't like our sale price. So, any other good news that happened in the last 30 days?
We put another one under contract in Dyer.
There you go. Travis got a crazy appraisal back,
Did.
a good one.
I closed on a property too with you guys in Highland.
You did.
3-bedroom, 1 bath.
Still smell good over there?
It's starting to get a little bit better.
You open up the freezer down in the basement?
Yeah, that's still there.
That's gross. It's like they have like 5 or 6 dead bodies in that freezer. All right, so our spotlight today is Treasured Family Home. We're gonna have Jeremy come up and talk about this one. It was fun talking with him through the process, and I'm sure he'll share it. Here's the clicker if you want. Hit the button.
My name is Jeremy. I'm with Treasured Family Homes. My dad, Dominic, is my business partner. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about our latest flip. So when we bought the house, it was a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. We converted it into a 3, 1.5. This is an off-market deal. I worked with the seller for about 2 to 3 weeks. They had some health issues. It was their dad's house. Finally got them under contract, and like I said, about 2 to 3 weeks working with them, and closed about 10 days after the contract was signed. We bought the house for $125,000. So when we bought the house, this was our projected profit was about $38,000. We used $40,000 of private money for our rehab costs. So we were all in at about 165 is what we were projecting, with ROI of 21%. This was obviously a little before and after picture. This is kind of like the front door is over here. So we opened this wall up a little bit, and this was a formal dining room. We closed off to make a 3rd bedroom.
You did the work yourself?
No, we had a contractor do it. We'll configure the kitchen a little bit. It was a little weird, a big island. Redid the fireplace, turned out real nice. And then double barn doors downstairs. Fireplace was probably my favorite part of the house. Turned out really nice.
We did do some of the work in the house though.
Yeah, we did a little bit of plumbing and
I did the fireplace and he put up, he made the barn doors.
I built the deck in the backyard, but most of it was done by a contractor. This is the half bath and basement, and we contemplated actually opening this wall right here and creating a shower. I didn't want to spend the extra money because the rehab ended up going over.
$40,000 rehab.
Yes, sir. So picture of the bedrooms.
How much did the rehab run over?
I'll show you in 1 second.
Just to give you an idea, can you go back, Jeremy? I'm a heating and air contractor by trade, and these registers down below, if you can see that picture, if you use 5-inch baseboard and you're looking for the small registers, it just doesn't look right if you put the register in. So me and Jeremy had a discussion about those registers are $27 a piece. So if you guys think, or get the contractor, I'm pretty anal about what it looks like and stuff, and we must have had them cut around the smaller registers 3 times to see the difference of what it would look like. And then finally I just went to the supply house and found these registers, but they were kind of pricey. We spent over $200 on registers just for those. So just little tidbits that you don't think, I never would have thought about all that stuff.
So this was, like I said, the formal dining room. They originally built the house. We're gonna put the 3rd bedroom in, but they decided not to. So they wanted a formal dining room. So we already had the closet over here, which was nice. So I just put the wall up, took the slider out, put some windows in. Figured it'd be like a kid's bedroom or something. So you probably didn't want a slider in there.
And it had
Had solar panels on the
solar panels that still worked.
there, yeah. But it was only for downstairs. You
Yeah.
didn't heat the whole house.
What's that box on the deck?
To
That
cover,
is actually the gas meter.
Oh.
I built that,
Yeah.
I built that around the gas meter just
Yeah.
because I thought it looked kind of bad.
No.
So I tried, not look so ugly, I guess.
You didn't get dinged for rails, or how high does it have to
don't,
be?
it has to be 3.
3 feet? Oh,
It's-
that's
Well, it has to be, it's actually one step. You step down and then step into the grass to the.
It's only 16 inches off the ground.
Yeah,
Oh, wow, okay,
so,
nice.
So, the bad, 5 weeks turned into 9 weeks. In our contract, there was a little uh-oh in our contract that I did not find out until afterwards. Just making sure he's not here.
anyway.
I had the wrong end date in the contract, because I had in the contract that he was gonna get charged per day after 5 weeks, and I had the wrong date, so I wasn't able to charge him $100 a day. So that was kind of an uh-oh on my part. Don't accept the unacceptable. You're the boss, let's just all remember that you guys are writing the check at the end of the day. If it's not what you guys like, then say something. We made them redo some trim work, some electrical issues, and the shower accent tile did not look good when they did it, so we made them redo it. The good, it did get done. Overall, it was a good product when they were done. We sold it in less than 24 hours, 25,000 over the original ARV when we purchased the house. So whoever was here when Dave spoke, that was last month or the month before, about checking your comps, definitely check your comps. So here was the final numbers. Up top was what our original was, and down below is what it actually was. It was $43,000 for the total rehab, whoever asked. And the net profit was $58,856.
So if your contractor would have finished on time, you may not have made that extra $40.
Maybe not, but, yeah, just shortly after we bought the house, there was a couple houses that weren't remodeled, that sold in like 250, 258, and they had a little more square footage, and, I was actually really frustrated when we put it on the market. that I didn't get many showings right away. I called Justin and we had a little conversation. I was a little frustrated because I thought it was listed a little too high, but in less than 24 hours, got full price on there. So all in all, it worked out
Yeah.
What area
fantastic.
was that in?
What was that?
What area was that?
It's in Dyer, I'm sorry if I didn't.
Dyer.
Can you give me a breakout, or give us a breakout of what, the 43, how much labor, how much materials?
20,000 in labor,
Okay.
so 23,000 in materials. That's what I paid the contractor, was 20,000 to do it.
Okay.
And a lot of the stuff, I mean, we did, my wife, we all did landscaping.
Yeah, we did the
too.
landscaping.
You know, we did the fireplace, we did, you know, some of the stuff we did, but, they did the main construction inside.
Okay.
Did you count your time in there, or is that just the money that you paid out? I mean, did you guys do that work for free yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you change that siding now?
Yep.
Oh yeah, the siding is brand new, new shutters.
We made
and
the
then
shutters,
We made the shutters and then we just painted the front door.
fascia, soffit, gutters,
Yeah,
all that. The only thing we didn't change was the roof.
And the roof was in pretty good shape, just
Yeah.
had some stains on it, but it was done in the last 5 years. So, thanks for hearing my little success story. It was kind of an honor to have Justin and Adrian ask me.
That's a fun one. They don't all end that way, but take what you have, learn from it, and move on. So, Justin, if you want to come on up. Starting September 11th, so like 2.5 weeks from now, the Lake County is going to do their fall tax sale. And Justin will go into what people do or not do to qualify to have their house on the tax sale. But there's over 16,000 properties that are going to be up for sale. Awesome opportunity for people to pick up some great deals. Awesome opportunity for people to lose a lot of money too. So Justin's going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. But just by show of hands, who's ever picked up a tax lien house? All right, big number. So, cool. Justin started investing back in 2012 in tax liens. Over the last 5 years, him and his old partner did well over 150 houses. And they got to keep a bunch of those, and they made a ton of money flipping them, and they still make a bunch of money with them as rentals. So, feel free to ask him any questions as he's going.
There you go. How are you guys?
Good.
Very good. Good seeing Jeremy's deal. Not bad for their first one, huh? Could be worse. Could be worse.
Actually, if that's your first one, we'll ride out the one.
Yeah.
It's hard to top. It's hard to like top that the next time around, though, right? 30,000 profits don't look so good the next time. But you know what? I think the benefit that he has is that he sticks to the numbers. You know, a lot of us we just buy stuff because we're desperate, but he just sticks to the numbers, and I think that.
Yeah, it took me, I was pretty patient. That's how I ended up getting another one. I got one on the next block. I signed the contract last week. So I stayed patient on that one too, so.
Yeah. And I know some of you guys are frustrated. You know, you're looking for deals. You're like, I'm not getting anything. And we're gonna do 84 houses, probably more. I think we'll actually probably finish up closer to 100, but that doesn't mean we're making 58,000 a piece. You know, so you don't have to. You don't have to do 100 houses a year to make $1 million. You can do a few. So sometimes you just gotta be patient and wait for the right deal. All right, so looks like some of you bought tax sale properties. So this will not be too informational for you, this first part, but tax sale is a sale conducted by a government or a third party to collect debt on taxes that have been unpaid. And they have, you know, tax lien sales and tax deed sales, primarily Northwest Indiana. With a few exceptions is going to be tax lien. So when you're buying at the tax sale, you're buying a lien, not a deed, unless specified otherwise. Indiana is different than some states. Indiana has Illinois has a bunch of crazy things. You bid down the interest and silly things like that. Indiana's pretty simple. The more you bid, the more you pay. The interest, all that stuff doesn't change. So. Lake County specifically, which we're going to talk about because we're coming up to the fall sale, is tax lien only. Again, you're buying a lien, not the house itself. The treasurer sale, which is the fall sale, the bidding usually starts at the full amount of taxes owed, and it's usually held between August and September online. And the commissioner sale, which is March is April. Generally speaking, It's actually held in Lake County Government Building. It's live, and it usually starts at $500 a property. So if you're looking for things really super cheap, that may be the sale you want to go to. For information, if you're trying to just learn about the process a bit, the company who runs a lot of the Indiana stuff is SRI. You can go to their website, you can see it on the bottom there, it's sri-taxsale.com. You can look up the different counties. You know, Porter County has a sale as well, very similar to LaPorte. You can read a lot of the stuff on the left-hand side there. You can see it'll talk about the process, it'll give you the forms, how to register, all those good things, the actual site that you need to go to. And you can see right there in blue, you can click there and go to your property list. So if you don't have the newspaper version, and you're looking for the list, you can get it there. So the treasurer sale again is a lien sale. It's gonna start on September 19th at 9 a.m. and it's online. So you need to register beforehand, and we'll go over that in a minute. And I don't have an end date. There's a reason why, and I'll go over that a little bit later, but it's staggered. It's staggered online auctions, and that's because their website crashes. There was people saying that the hedge funds used hackers to try to take down the website, so the bids couldn't go through. A bunch of different stuff. So they stagger it. So if you think your property's ending, make sure you check what batch it's coming out of, so that you're not going to miss the end if you're trying to bid at the last minute. It is a 12-month redemption period, so the owner, once you buy it, has 12 months to actually redeem their property. So just because you bought it that day at sale doesn't mean it's yours. Don't go trespass on it or bother them or try to kick them out or evict them. You'll get arrested, probably, or shot. It's Indiana. There has to be some notices made to the owner during a set period of time. I'll touch on that briefly, but I suggest, unless you know what you're doing, hire an attorney. At the end of the sale, there's going to be approximately 45 days to 2 months between the end of redemption and then the court hearing. Once you have your court hearing, they'll either approve the deed to you, or if the person contested for whatever reason, there may be subsequent hearings set. And then usually takes around 3 to 6 weeks to get your court order. It's a long process. It's not like you buy the tax sale property and have it tomorrow. I mean, you see the line before that, it's about 15 to 18 months from the sale. So you guys gotta be prepared to wait, potentially almost 2 years to get a property. So when you're bidding on stuff, think about what's it gonna look if it's vacant in 2 years? Is it still gonna be there? And then when you get it, especially with the treasurer sale, you're gonna pay more taxes to get the deed. They're not gonna give you the deed until you pay more taxes. So you're talking another 12 to 24 months of taxes on top of whatever you've paid, if you haven't paid it during the redemption period. As far as what you get back, if they pay it back, it's kind of complicated the way they have it now. They change it, should be still this way. But on the minimum bid amount, if it's redeemed within the 0 to 6 months, they're gonna give you 10% back of the minimum sale price. And then 5% per day on the amount you bid over the minimum. So I know it's kind of complicated, so we'll look at a calculator quick in a minute here. And if it redeems in months 6 to 12, they're gonna give you 15% on the minimum. So for example, we have a property you bought for $10,000. Breaking my computer here. The minimum bid was $5,000, and they redeemed the property on day 30. It's $10,000 principal amount, and they owed $5,000, so you're gonna get 10% on that first $5,000, and then 5% per day on the $5,000 overbid, which is $20.55. And then any, what they call 137B form expenses. So you can get reimbursed for any of the expenses you're spending on attorneys, you just gotta make sure they file the paperwork to get it, for title work, things like that. So they actually make a calculator, and this little slideshow is on our website. If you saw it when you came in, it's investnwi/tax sale. So you can look it up there if you want. A lot of these calculators and all this stuff, the information is there, so you don't have to worry about writing every single thing down unless you want to take notes. But it's all there. Like this calculator, I didn't make it. It's probably made by the county or somebody. But you can actually put in the date of the sale and the redemption date, the bid amounts and everything, and it'll actually spit out what you're going to get back. You can check it with the county. They use the same thing, so or something very similar. So it kind of breaks it down. So do you have any questions on that? guys have some confused looks. Good? Go ahead.
The sale that begins on September 11th versus the treasurer sale, how are they different?
It's the same.
It is the same.
It is the same. Yep. The treasurer is the fall sale, commissioner is the spring. And the spring sale is just whatever has not been sold at treasurer sale.
Okay, so it starts on the 19th or the 11th?
It starts on, let me go back here.
Okay, I heard the 11th from something else maybe.
According to their website, it starts the 19th.
Oh, okay, I must have just.
Hey Justin,
Let me double check that one quick.
what's the percent of the odds that you actually get the house versus it just getting redeemed and you get interest?
That's gonna depend on how you bid. When we bid on properties that were owned by landlords and occupied. That was for a reason, because we didn't want them to burn them down. We just wanted to take properties from landlords. Just who we targeted. I mean, if you buy somebody's house, somebody buys my house, I'm having hard times, I'm burning it to the ground, I don't care. If I'm not getting it, they're not. So that's, that's the thought process, right? So, we're not here, everybody has their own bidding, but we all have hard times, so, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with bidding on somebody's house. I mean, it happens, like sometimes you just bid on somebody's house, and you think it's a landlord, but it's not. But our process was bid on landlord houses, or people that didn't care about the house or whatever, maybe they live somewhere else, and try to take theirs, because it was less likely to be destroyed, than if you bought somebody's house and they were, they had cancer and couldn't pay their taxes and lost their house, so. I guess it depends on what you buy, how you buy it, I've seen houses in Gary that they owed $20,000, that they redeem and pay $20,000, and the house isn't even worth $20,000. Seen other houses, they owe $800-900 and they lose it. So, same thing with vacant lots. I've seen buildable vacant lots. We went to buy one, we got outbid by our own attorney, ironically. And then he had already bought it once, it redeemed, he bought it the second time and it didn't redeem. And he sold it in like a month and made like $30,000, so those deals are out there.
Are you just researching the owner name on the county's website?
Yep, and we'll get to that. The list doesn't have pretty much anything but a parcel ID, so you gotta be careful with that. We'll get to that too. That's some of the basics of just that part of it, but.
How much on average is it costing you to use an attorney to notify?
We paid for the more expensive attorney, it's probably $900. I mean, there's cheaper.
Per parcel or?
Per parcel. Yeah. Which, it adds up, like, the last year I bought, we had to go write the attorney a check for almost $45,000. So, it adds up, but, you hire a crappy attorney, you get one, right? So, if you're buying in bulk, you can negotiate stuff. I didn't, because I didn't really care. I just wanted to be priority with my attorney, not beat them down. But you can.
Justin, if that example you gave there, if it's in a great area, sure, if their taxes are owed as $5,000, but it got paid up to $40,000, what happens to that difference?
Okay, so if they lose the house, you're saying?
Yeah, if they lose it, but
So-
$25,000-$30,000 over what?
The overage amount?
Yeah.
So by Indiana law, they're entitled to it, just like sheriff's sale.
They are entitled to being a homeowner?
They are entitled, the person who is the deeded owner at the time of sale. Okay, so I say that to clarify that because the reason they have some of the laws is because of people pirating overage money. You ever heard of overage, the people that go around and say, hey, I know you have $100,000 and I'll give it to you if you give me half. I'll tell you where it's at if you give me half. So that happened. What actually happened is somebody who still bids at auction didn't tell a lady in White Hawk Country Club about that. He got a quick claim deed. He flew down to Florida, got a quick claim deed for like $1,000 and then got the overage money and screwed her over, so she's suing everybody, which she should. But yeah, they're entitled to it, but they have to ask for it back. If you go to like the government website, you can see how many tens of millions of dollars are just sitting in overage money in their account, but technically it's theirs.
So that's after basically the 24 months though, right?
After
Everything's.
Yep, they can request it. You can request it, they can get the money. So some people actually, it's probably better for them, right?
Right.
Depending on the situation, if they have a bunch of tax liens or like federal tax liens or some other reason they can't sell the property, it may be in their benefit to just let it go. So, I've seen that. The website to sign up for this sale, ZeusAuction.com. At the top there, it says you and your businesses must be current on all property taxes. If you owe taxes on your property, you can't buy somebody else's. Say it with a grain of salt because depending on who you are, they really don't care. But technically, you're supposed to pay your taxes. Registration, according to their website, ends September 8th. And I'm gonna roll through it real quick, their website. Here's a screenshot of the website. You can see on the top, you can go to register. Again, I'm gonna move through it quickly because this is just registration. You're gonna need name, if you're bidding in a company, name, you need all that information, address. Again, this is on our website, so if you wanna roll through it, you can. I just wanna make sure we have everything. Once you get in, it has like a dashboard, and there's not a ton to see because the auction isn't open yet, but you can see at the bottom, if you can see down there, it shows the auctions that they have coming up. So Lake County's down there, and it actually shows, the different options that you have. When I go to the next screen here, so I registered as a business, so you actually need to complete your bidder profile, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna have to do this as an individual too, and that's because they want a 1099 you for interest. So in my case, I filled this out as I was a business. If you're a person, you're gonna put individual, followed by either your social security number or your business tax ID. Again, they're 1099 you for the interest, so don't think you won't pay taxes on your interest from tax sale. And then to the bottom, the important thing to remember here too, if you are a business, you're gonna need a certificate of good standing, meaning you're gonna have to go to the Secretary of State website and print out or have a PDF version of your most recent year certificate of good standing. So if you haven't done your business reports, entity reports, you're gonna have to do those, so don't wait till the last minute. It's not real hard, but you need to get it. They will not accept previous year ones, so it has to be the most current year. They used to, but they don't anymore.
How about you just started a business?
Well, then you should have a certificate of good standing, because it's brand new. But like, let's say you have one from 2015, because you don't have a business report due, you're gonna have to do one to get a 2017 to register it.
No, you just started a business like yesterday.
Then you're good. Just send them you can actually upload the PDF and they'll take it. And then they approve you either being a bidder. Again, here you can see where you can upload the files for good standing. And you have to tell them that you're not lying about your tax ID number, all that good stuff. It says, okay, it's received. That doesn't mean it's approved. Within a day or so, they'll actually tell you if they approved your application. And then we'll get back to the dashboard. So here's actually in the list section, you can see the list. You can put stuff on a watch list. If you've ever bid online, this is where the portal is where you're gonna do all your bidding.
How much money is it to register?
I don't think you're charging anything, surprisingly. Yeah. There is a section over here, I think it's overview, and you can see the batches right here of how they have it. And that's with the start time and end time. Again, it's important that you're paying attention to your parcel, because if you're gonna try to bid at the last minute, they're ending at different times. And that's to prevent the website from locking up, because everybody's bidding at the last minute, so.
Can I ask you a question?
Mhm.
The auction start, you said 9/11,
Yep,
that's different than the 9/19?
yes, I was wrong. It's 9/19 here, or 9/11 there. It ends on 9/19, all of them. Apologize for that.
So the bidding's open for like a week roughly, or?
Yes. Yeah, people play games, they don't, they wait until the last minute. If you're somebody that people know, don't register your screen name as your name or your company name. Register as, I don't even know what I registered, outbid you or something on here. Because if you're somebody like me, they see region home buyers, people are gonna bid me up just to bid me up, so. Just create a name, nobody knows what it is. There's no reason they need to know who you are.
I wouldn't do that, Joe.
I'd be disappointed if you didn't.
Is it all online now? It's not in person?
For this sale, for the fall sale.
Okay.
For the fall sale. Here's where I actually clicked on one of the parcels, and it gives you some information. Again, some of it, you can only do so much right now because the bidding isn't open. But you're gonna wanna familiarize yourself with that. And again, it's gonna start at minimum bid and end when the time runs out. It's doing it in batches, so it's not overloading. Make sure you got a running list. Make sure you're bidding on the right parcel, not the address, unless you like giving money away. buy a vacant lot instead of a house because you're looking at the address instead of the parcel, you'll learn very quickly.
So do you set up an automatic increments of how you can go to what your
Yeah, you
max
can.
is?
At least in years past, unless they've changed it. But yeah, you can set like a max.
And then does it notify you when you're the lead?
It has in the past, yeah. They change it all the time because they keep having issues with it. So I guess we'll see what happens this year. Unfortunately, I can't bid now to tell you that. But
Does it add to the clock, like at the very end, if there's like 30 seconds left?
not that I've seen.
Okay.
That I've seen. But again, they change everything because they're trying to get the most for the county. When the sale is done, you get a receipt for the purchases. You can get a cashier's check, pay it to the treasurer, or you can wire funds. The funds have to be in no later than 4 p.m. Central on the 22nd. If you have a wire that's going through, it's actually on their form, which is on our website. I think it says it has to go out by 2 p.m. that day. And then within 30 to 45 days, you'll get your tax certificates by mail. Do not lose them. You need them. They'll come on a colored piece of paper from the county. It'll say the tax certificate amount, the parcel, how much you paid for it. Just don't lose it. Shouldn't make much of a difference, but don't lose it. And then you're going to want to find an attorney. If you're an entity, if you're a company, you're not an individual buying it, you have to. And that's to prevent fraud. Do not trespass or harass the owners. It's only a lien at this point. And I'm not stating that I've never gone there and not talked to people, especially if they're tenants, because sometimes you want to get the information. Just like I don't tell people, like, don't go to sheriff's sale houses and break in and enter them when I'm bidding on them. But be careful. The last thing you want to do is end up in jail before you get your tax liens. Because they do frown on that, right? Because they don't want people getting harassed. Because, I mean, legally it's still theirs. I will say this, if the property goes vacant, do yourself a favor, but be careful and board it up. Just secure the property. Nobody's going to arrest you for securing a property. That's never happened. But you don't want people breaking in. I mean, if it's vacant, board the windows up, whatever. Nobody's going to complain about that. At least not that I've seen. If your property redeems, you're going to get notified by it. You're going to have to fill out a form, surrender your tax lien certificate after you mail it in. Generally about 30 to 45 days. You get your money back along with your interest. If it doesn't redeem, your attorney's going to do a second noticing, and then you're going to have a court hearing. Again, the court hearing is usually 45 days, or sometimes around 2 months after the redemption period. It just depends on when the sale date ends and when they have court. They've been trying to just put them all together at the same time with the commissioner sale thing. Try that on and off. It's too many things at one time. You or your attorney is going to show evidence that you followed the process. The court's going to approve it or disapprove it. Basically, if they object for any reason, you're going to get stuck with a second court hearing. I mean, they can cry that for any reason. It doesn't even matter if it's legit. They're going to get a second hearing. So just be prepared that you may be going to subsequent hearings. You may have to fight it out. You may have to pay the attorney to get your property, especially if it's a good one. Nobody's going to lay down and just let you take it. It just doesn't happen unless they died. Usually if your deed gets approved, you're going to get a court order in 3 to 4 weeks after that. Again, they changed this process recently in the last couple of years. You're going to have to call the tax sale department with the parcel IDs. I say call them, it depends on how many you have. If you have a ton of them, don't call them. They'll ignore you. Either email Gina and give you her email address, or show up with a list. They'll tell you how much you owe on each property to get your deeds. You're going to need a cashier's check for all those taxes made out to Lake County Treasurer, along with a money order for the auditor at $5 per parcel. I think they do a cashier's check now too. And a money order for the recorder for $16, unless they change it, you may find out. They changed all the recording fees, so I would suspect that probably went up. Because they're charging $25 for everything now, so my guess is they'll probably save more. You're going to need your court order, and bring a file copy of everything. Anything you ever bring to Lake County, bring a copy. They will lose it, it will disappear. They will just bring a copy, have them stamp it. That way you always have a record. They're notorious for losing stuff. I don't know how they lose it, but they do. The recorder's office is pretty good now because they scan everything in right away. You're going to need your tax sale certificate, and they're going to have you fill out a sales disclosure form right then and there. They'll sign it, and at that moment, technically it's yours. You will not get a deed right then. So, At that point, the property is yours. It's no longer a lien, but technically, it's being recorded, it's done. Transferred it, even though you don't have the deed. Insure the property, don't wait, put insurance on it. You can't before because it wasn't anything but a lien until then, but now you can. You can go see it, although I usually recommend you wait till you get the deed, because otherwise you really don't have a whole lot of written proof. But if it's vacant, you can go. If you have, one of the first things we always did is we went straight to the city to see what type of water and sewer liens were on the property. Because a lot of times they're gonna have something. Tax deeds are the only thing that'll wipe water and sewer bills anymore from pretty much any cities in Indiana. So when you have the deed, bring it into them, they'll cancel all the water bills, they'll get rid of them. And some of them have some pretty significant ones. A lot of times the cities, they'll even take some of their other liens off. But
Hammond got me for $600 for cutting the grass.
that's because you didn't know what you were doing, because they'll take it off.
Cause I called Bratz. He's like, just pay it.
Bronze is my attorney, so I can say this, but he doesn't know how to deal with Hammond. And Doug Kovachkov told me I couldn't get water bills wiped off the property in Gary, but I got thousands of dollars taken off on sheriff's sale properties. It depends on who you talk to. You can get them
I
off.
should've called you.
You can get them off, you just gotta talk to enough people. When you talk to the building department, you talk to the city attorney, a lot of times they don't even know who owes who in Hammond. The water bills, if it's a sheriff's sale, they're not wiping it off, you're gonna get stuck with those, but tax deed, they'll wipe pretty much anything. I've had really good luck with that. They don't just say, okay, just take it off, but you're gonna fight a little bit. But if $600 is the worst you had, I mean.
Doesn't it have to do with when they put the lien, like the water bill lien on the property? Sometimes they wait until the tax sale's done and then they put the lien on?
Yeah, but you know what, they're actually getting attacked for that now by attorneys, because attorneys are like, you can't sit here and knowing that money's owed and then wait till you can put it on. Because that's what the cities are doing. And you're asking because you're in Cedar Lake, so that's why. I know, because Cedar Lake specifically does that.
Sure.
Cedar Lake holds on to it, waiting to screw you with it. They can't do that. They can't. They got away with it for a while, but now the city attorney realized that he's gonna get sued. We had the exact same issue with one of ours, with a sheriff's sale property. And they tried to put the stuff on in the middle of bankruptcy. And most people just lay down and pay it. Don't. I mean, especially if you have an attorney talk to them. Force them to make you pay it. It's funny you brought that up. You paid a few over there, huh?
No, I worked it out with them. I didn't end up paying it, but they were trying to make me pay it.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's because nobody ever fights it.
And they were also trying to say that only the commissioner's sale wipes the liens and not the treasurer's sale.
A lot of these cities are using some obscure law to try to not lien the properties, but then collect bills. You know, if you ever dealt with Gary Sanitary, you know they're the worst. They don't lien anything. You know, you could owe $1 million on the property and they won't put a lien on it. But they're not getting away with it too much anymore. Not with tax sales. But you do have to fight it. Once you have your deed, I always suggest you either do a quiet title, which is done by an attorney, or you get tax title insurance, if it's a good property. If it's something that's a cheaper property, it probably doesn't make much of a difference. You're just gonna rent it, don't worry about it, the cost probably isn't gonna make sense unless you're gonna sell it. But say you get a really expensive property. The last thing you want is a bank coming back saying they notified or something, and you lose the property, you know, you don't have any title insurance, you don't have anything. You can get tax title insurance from Meridian, Greater Indiana Title does it as well. Or you can do a quiet title if you have time, that's gonna be the longer route, but it's gonna get the liens off the property. The problem with the quiet title is that if there's any skeletons in the closet, you're gonna wake them up one last time. So, all the people are getting notified again. So if you have a property you quietly want to title insure, just get the tax title insurance. Don't bring the skeletons out of the closet if you don't have to. I actually have a friend that got a warehouse that was mislabeled as a parcel. It was labeled as land, but it wasn't. It was actually a warehouse in Maryville. He got it for $300. So it's worth a lot of money. So you know, the first thing he did is, you know, got title insurance on it. So, and then the family realized what had happened, and it was actually a county error, and it wasn't supposed to be sold. It doesn't matter, he's got title insurance now. So, we're gonna eat that one, but, and he bought $100,000 worth of title insurance, so he'll do okay. Yeah, I mean, if it's a low rental property.
Title insurance usually run?
So for tax title insurance, you're gonna have a lot of the standard insurance policy costs, you know, if it could be $400, $500, $600, whatever a policy cost is, depends on the purchase price, or, you know, whatever you're insuring it for price. But, Meridian and Greater Indiana Title are pretty much on the same page as far as the cost to do the research. So the way it works is you pay them basically for a title search and the research process. They request all the information from your attorney, or from you if you did it yourself. They look over it, determine if their underwriting thinks that it's been done correctly, and then if it has, they'll insure it, but they charge like, it depends again on the price, but like $1,200 to $1,500. But if you have a really good property, who cares?
So is that a one-time fee, or
Yeah.
is that a, okay?
Yep. And you can do the same thing, like, so for example, you bought a property, you weren't sure what you were gonna do with it, and James, my old partner, has one in the back. We bought it in Cal Township, and we bought it, I think, for $3,800? $3,800 or so, okay? We weren't sure what we were gonna do with it, obviously we split, I gave him the property, he rehabbed it, it sold for $130. And so now, it's still a tax deed property, so he's trying to sell it, so we have it at Greater Indiana Title, so, you know, the attorney gave him all the information and they're ready to insure it, so he just waited till he sold the property in that case. But if you're gonna put a ton of money in something, it's always a good idea to make sure that at least, you know, they feel like the title's clear at least. Because a tax deed, although it does supersede everything, it doesn't mean those things go away. You know, it does supersede IRS liens and all those good things, but it doesn't mean they just disappear off the title. They're still there until it's quiet titled or until somebody's willing to insure the title for tax title insurance. Any other questions? Okay, so the research is a part that you need to do beforehand. That was kind of all the preliminary information. There's just a lot of stuff. Trying to work through it. So if you guys have questions, you can stop me after. So whenever we looked at properties, the first thing we looked at was the treasurer, because we want to know what are the yearly taxes that I'm going to pay later. You know, if I'm going to own it as a rental, what am I going to pay after I get it? To get the deed for it, what am I going to have to pay later? Because I want to know what my all-in cost is. I don't want to know what I'm paying today. I want to know all-in, with attorneys, with everything. Sometimes you can tell if it's owner-occupied or if it's landlord-owned, and I'll show you how in a minute. Are my taxes going to go up if I keep it as a rental? You know, was it somebody's house before and now it's going to go up? Is the property assessed correctly? This one's important if it's over-assessed, because they may have lost it because it's being taxed too much. So you know you're going to have to fight the taxes. If it's super low, they may go up. So if you haven't used the treasurer's website before, again, the links for it are on our website. But you can see this is a basic search that I did for this address. Whenever you're doing tax sale properties, make sure you're searching by the parcel number, not the address. Okay, it's very important. You remember the property number. It's a house could be, you know, one parcel number, and it could be half on another parcel number. So you want to make sure that you're bidding on the right thing. As you can see here, it shows us as the owner. It shows the taxes were in the 2% cap range, so this one was already being taxed at the higher rate that landlords would pay. So I know it's, you know, the assessed value is 101,200, I believe it says. And then if I go down to the bottom, I can see how much the taxes were, and if there's any add-ins on the left-hand side. So in this case, I'm just looking for a rough number to see what I'm going to pay for taxes at the end. So I know a full year's worth of taxes are around $2,500. So I know to get my deed, I'm going to pay at least $2,500, probably more, probably 18 months worth of taxes, but it just depends on when it falls. But be prepared to pay that at the end. So if you're going to buy a bunch of properties, that's great. But if you get a bunch, you got to be prepared to pay all the taxes. Otherwise, it's not going to do any good. Second one here is going to be the assessor. That's where you're going to get your bed, bath counts, square footage, you know, as far as the assessor is concerned. It may tell you if it's on well and septic, the land use, what school districts it in. That's important, especially, you know, where the school district is important. You know, there's parts on over where it's Lake Station School, so the values are significantly less. So you can see here, this is just the main screen that we went here. Again, this is on our website, but let me go back here. Whenever you're in a property on the treasurer's website, you guys see on the left-hand side where it says property assessment information? If you click on that, it'll automatically bring you to the assessor's page for that parcel. So you can kind of go between the two. You can see right here, this one's in Ross Township. It's a single-family lot or a single-family home on a platted lot. That's important. As far as the county's concerned, there's a house there. Address, legal description of the property. The next one, I went to improvement, and it says, you know, what they're being taxed on. Supposedly there's a pool there, a deck, house with a detached garage. It gives you some sizes. It's just basic information about the house. If you go to neighborhood amenities, it'll tell you, you know, hey, does it have water, sewer, or is it on well and septic, or so if it has everything, they automatically put a yes, a Y for all utilities. If one of them is something else, then they will individualize it. That's pretty much it for that. The last one is the recorder. This is probably a little bit more advanced level stuff, but if you understand how title searches work, you can use this stuff to get more information on properties that you think won't redeem. And you can just search for property, for the name, for liens, for mortgages, especially if you're concerned about water, sewer liens. You can look them up, previous sales, land contracts, and you can go to the recorder website. It's lcrecorder.com. You can search by an address, by a name, by a parcel, lots of different things. And it'll bring up a lot of different things for that property. As you can see here, I don't know what property this is. This one I bought in Maryville. Obviously that guy doesn't pay too many water bills. A lot of sewer liens. That was on tax sale. So the final thing, if you've never bought a tax sale before, try to make sure you look at the GIS map. GIS map is just a county view, a rough version of the survey plat. It's not an end-all, be-all. Please don't think it is. Please don't think that exactly where the thing lays, it lays. It's not a replacement for a survey, but it's close enough. It's in the ballpark. And you just want to make sure that you're buying a house, you're buying a lot, you're buying whatever you want. So if you're in the assessor website or the treasurer, you can click on where it says GIS, and it will bring up a picture. And the shaded part, you can see is what that parcel is. What's wrong with this one?
The house is half.
Yes, this is one I bought. Forgot to do the math on. I bought half a house. I'm sure you done that before?
No.
Not yet, okay. Should've just said that. Yeah, it's when we added at the last minute. I don't know, just forgot to check it, didn't check it. Back in the day, these people got paid based on how many parcels, so it didn't necessarily have to make sense, but you'll see it in Hammond, Lake Station. This was Gary. Yeah.
So would they redeem it?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, what happened?
Bought it, and so the guy who owned the other half had bought it the year before, and he was yelling at me at auction to stop bidding on it, so I just completely ignored him, didn't listen to him, because it was a live auction on that one. So I bought it, and they explained to me, so put my tail between my legs, and when I got it, just sold it to him for cost. It was fine, it worked out okay. The house was worse than I expected by the time we got in there, so it was okay. We got out of it, we didn't make any money, didn't lose any money. Yeah, just check it. You know, I mean, a lot of people go to tax sale, they buy what they think is a house, and they end up with a lot. So just make sure there's something there. You know, if you want to buy a lot, that's great, but it only takes a few minutes. If you don't, you can own half a house.
So how often is that updated? Because will they tear the property down?
Exactly. So again, it's not going to be an end-all be-all. I'm not saying you shouldn't do a curbside on every property. I mean, when we used to do properties, we, not we, I didn't, but my partner would probably drive past 1,000 houses. You know? You gotta drive past 1,000 houses, you gotta drive past 1,000 houses. And then we drive by them again the night or day before the sale, just to make sure they were still there, because there was houses that burnt down right before. Or they, you know, they destroyed them or whatever. So we actually looked at them. We actually looked at the houses 3 times. He looked at them once, based on just our preliminary whatever. And you can imagine how long it takes to drive past 1,000 houses. And he spent a long time on it. And then he would narrow it down to what we were interested that fit our criteria, whether it was a rental, whether it was a flip, whatever. And then we would go again to determine what we both felt was good. Because, you know, sometimes you get, like, especially, like, I could tell, like, if he was in the car for a long time, it was like, he'd be like, yeah, it went okay. And I'd be like, we'd go through the properties and like, what the, like, what were you thinking, right? And he'd be like, man, it's a long day. They start to look good, right? Like, after you had a few drinks, everybody starts to look good, you know? But, so it never hurts to have somebody else come and look, because on top of that, you see different things. So he would see some things, I would focus on other things. You know, I'd drive through with my wife and she'd be like, why the hell did you buy that, you know? But I mean, it's, whether you have a partner or not, it doesn't matter. It helps. And then, you know, we would go again right before the sale just to make sure that it was still there, something we still wanted, something didn't dramatically change, see if the people moved out, anything like that. Again, it's a lot of work, but if you're gonna put up a lot of money, you just want to do it.
Do you think hedge funds or big guys actually drive around properties, or do you think they just bid?
No,
Yeah,
I don't
they
think
just
so.
bid.
I mean, they all have different criteria, but in my estimation, they like to buy a treasurer sale. In my estimation, they're probably just paying 100% of value, hoping they all redeem. And then like Lake Bank and all the banks, they get screwed and then they whatever, they lose a bunch of investor money and then they go somewhere else. Lake County's pretty hot right now, so they'll buy, you know, hedge funds will buy $2, $3, $4 million worth, hoping it all redeems or that the appreciation is there. Then they'll get stuck with them. Or you got like
Based off of what value?
assessed, probably.
Really? They're going
Yeah.
that high?
Yeah. But, I mean, there's plenty of counties across the country where they'll pay over market value. I mean, think about in California, they could pay 100%, 115%. If they got it a year from now, it could be worth 100,000 more, 200,000 more. So obviously the scale isn't here, but they're hoping for redemptions. But that doesn't mean they don't get stuck with houses. They always do. So what can go wrong? House burns down. It happens. House is torn down, and then you get stuck with a demo bill that's in your name. House has everything stolen. Been there. Took everything, including the floor. Took the floor. Everything. Kid you not. Everything. Windows, floor, everything. Glued on vinyl. They took. They were mad. Like we were driving down the street, and I'm like, as we were going, it was so whenever we would do it before the last day of redemption or the weekend after redemption, we always drove past everything again because we had to determine if we wanted to go and pay taxes. Because just because you bought the lien doesn't mean you have to buy the house. And there was a certain amount of houses, you know, when you buy 50 plus, they're just a wash. You're gonna lose money if you're buying in bulk. It is what it is, and some weren't worth the hassle. So we just wrote the loss off. But we were driving, and I'm like, "Where's the house at?" And he was like, "Oh, I know where it's at." So what do you mean? He goes, "You don't see it?" And like, every window is gone, the aluminum wrapping, like everything. Like, but it ended up okay. I think we sold it. I think Mike sold it.
Yes, I did.
I think we ended up getting a deed to that one and we sold it. I think we lost a little money, but it wasn't too bad.
Halfway to rehab, take the floor, the windows, the doors.
Everything was new too. It was all new, the entire house. It was a really nice all brick ranch. They left the shop back. They left that. They don't want that.
Couldn't carry that.
Well, they had everything else. The truck was full. Court battles. Yeah, court battles. You know, if people claim they didn't get notified, you know, they can battle it out. They can claim they never got notification. The courts generally feel sorry for people, give them one last chance. What I usually did is, if I truly thought that the person, actually none of them, if I ever thought they were going to do it, but if I felt like they deserved one more chance, I'd give them an additional 30 days to redeem it, even though they didn't deserve it. So really, they had 60 to 120 because they had another court date and everything else. It's their last chance at mercy to redeem it. Then they can't say that they didn't get a last chance, okay? Like the one that I sold my old, or gave my old partner, I mean, we owned it for $3,800, he was gonna rehab it anyways, we could've just thrown her out, but I think he ended up having to throw her out after the fact, but we gave her one last chance, and so she did minimal damage to the property on the way out, cause at least she understood, you know. Improper notifications, not using an attorney is probably the number one reason for that. You know, nobody wants to pay an attorney, but it's one of those things where when you get in a battle or you need the paperwork, you wanna have the right person on your side. Purchasing the wrong parcel, does happen. Sometimes you just bid on the wrong one. It probably happens more in live auctions because there's so much going on, you're running through that many, you're like trying to look through all your paperwork. You have time online, take your time, make sure it's the right one. The taxes go way up, so it was assessed at one thing at 1% because it was owner occupied, and then by the time you get it, you know, it's at 2%, the taxes went up, and you know, you thought the taxes were gonna be $1,000 and now they're $5,000. Finding occupants to leave, obviously, you can't do anything until you get a deed to the property, you can't evict them. It's becoming increasingly difficult to evict them, and with Hammond Court closing up in December, expected to be challenged in Crown Point. The last one, my favorite one, filed bankruptcy in the redemption period.
Then what happens?
Well, you can get your money back and you can potentially get the property, but usually they just delay it out. So they're allowed to file bankruptcy during the redemption, and then they can lump you into 60-month debt repayment. If they fail it, of course, you can go and petition for the deed. But who wants to wait 60 months to get nonsense interest rate and wait forever? Like, it just sucks. You know, just having money tied up just sucks. So I guess not necessarily not losing, whereas they'll drag it out and make it painful to make nothing, which effectively is losing, in my opinion. Oddly enough, like with the paperwork, like we had one where we just had our attorney just file paperwork to get money back. Didn't even put when the date was or anything, and the judge approved it. For whatever reason, they keep sending me checks anyways. So I don't know. I don't think they understand like bankruptcy court, like what's going on, but literally, like they sent us a check for like $3,000, and then they keep making monthly payments. I don't know why. We told them, I called the attorney and told him that we gave it back to him. I don't know. But again, you're not gonna lose, but it's gonna tie up forever. You can hire a bankruptcy attorney and play the game, and if it's a really good property, it may be worth it. There is plays on that, you just gotta be patient. For most people, again, it's something that you just don't wanna deal with, for most people. Questions? Touched on a lot of stuff, right? But
I'm sure there's gonna be area specific, but as far as like percentage of properties that are redeemed.
Sure.
Are you able to like ballpark that as like 80%, 90%?
It's gonna depend on your bidding, what you're buying. I mean, we probably average, a few years ago, we were probably in the 80 to 100% range,
Okay.
pretty close. Towards the end, probably now it's probably closer to 50. But it all depends on, I mean, the market's good, right? So, and plus you got guys like me that are sending a mail that are gonna buy their property for cash, so I'm not gonna let you get it. So we try to buy them from them, so that's part of it certainly. I don't think there's ever a percentage, but we went into it, like we would think like, hey, we're gonna get this property and think we're gonna get that property, and sometimes you would, sometimes you wouldn't. I don't know. You bought a bunch, what do you think?
I mean, I think that they usually say 50-50 as a general, but that's like you saying, it's gonna depend on the bidding, as a general rule of thumb.
So just really, when you said 80 to 100%, you're getting
Properties.
You're getting the properties. Oh, okay. What by redeem, I meant just getting the cash back with the interest. So
No,
really,
80 to 100% we were getting towards the start in
Yeah.
2011, 2012, and most recently it's a lot less. But it's a sign of the times, right? I mean, the market's good, so people aren't gonna lose it as easily.
I mean, 50-50 still seems fairly high to me.
So at the treasurer sale, you have a lot of time, so if you wanna put the screws to somebody and really make it more difficult, then you go and as taxes become due, you make more payments to taxes, and then you just file another 137B form and keep increasing your costs. So if it was gonna cost them, $3,000 before the sale, maybe it's $8,000 now, and then you go pay more taxes, by the time they're done, they're gonna have to come up with $20,000. You can come up with 3, a lot of people can't come up with 20. And you'll still get money on that, you'll get your money back. You can do that, that's a play a lot of guys do. They'll keep paying subsequent taxes.
No, I meant, I'm surprised you 50%, I thought was still pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
you still get that amount.
Ours are about
Yeah.
30, only 200.
Yeah.
See, that's kind of what I expected.
I mean, again, it depends on what you're buying. I mean, if you're buying more owner occupant, you're less likely, somebody's more likely to redeem their house than they will a rental property. So, like the one that like we were bidding on against our attorney. He bought it once, they redeemed it, then he bought it again, they let it go. He turned around and made 30 grand. So, what I say is look for stuff outside the box. Everybody's looking for houses, everybody's looking for stuff in Gates of St. John, everybody's looking for stuff everywhere. Probably the best example of somebody who made some quick easy money is right here in Highlands. Somebody bought a parcel right along the river that the Army Corps of Engineers needed. He knew it. They didn't realize it went to sale. He bought it for about $3,400. And then they needed it. They tried to take it by eminent domain for about 25. He told them to take a hike. He had 2 appraisals, one for 800, one for $1 million. I think they settled at 343 for a worthless piece of land. So think outside the box. Where can you put it, you know? I mean, you can buy houses too, but, you know, where is there a cell tower? Where can I put a billboard? Where's there a cool play on something? Because everybody's looking for the usual stuff. If you guys want, so, have you guys ever looked at a list before? The actual list? I mean, there's no, it doesn't tell you what the property is, right? So the question always is to me is how do you know what you're looking for? Well, you have to go to the assessor on every single one. So what we've done is, and I don't do it for the Gary properties because I have no interest in them. But if you guys want it, you just have to email me and I'll send it to you. So I actually have a list of the properties with the land uses in it. So you just have to look at the list. If I just want houses in East Chicago, sort the Excel list by that, and the land uses are already in there. The software just scrapes all the data off the county website. So it takes a while, but it has all the land uses in there. Not for Gary properties. But.
Can we get your email address?
Yep. So if you guys are here, we'll give it to you. If not, don't give it to anybody else. Let them drive past 16,000 properties. So it'll save you a bunch of time. And again, don't think it's the end all be all, but if you're just looking, hey, I only want to buy houses in Hammond, how many parcels are in Hammond? Who knows, 4,000? It's a lot easier to drive past 150 than 4,000, so. That's how we eliminated a lot of our competition.
You break it out with the numbers?
What's that?
The numbers that are inside the parcel, is that what you're saying?
So I use, and I didn't even create it, somebody else did, I just modified it to work. Use iMacro software, and so it goes and it pulls, it goes into the main spreadsheet, it pulls it out of Excel, it scrapes across the county website and automatically pulls the information and dumps it back into the spreadsheet, so it has the land use included. That's how we always crushed everybody, because we didn't waste our time, we got to what we wanted to. So, give it to you guys. Again, it doesn't have Gary in it, I pulled a lot of it out. Like there was war zone stuff in Lake Station, where I know it's all flood zone, I pulled it out, so it's not all there. Adrian, how many are in there? 3,500?
Yeah, but even half of that is still vacant land.
Yeah, so even so I took out all of Gary and then like war zone, Lake Station, and I say war zone, but really it's just straight flood zone. And it brought it down to 3,500. There's a lot in Gary.
If you just look at houses and non-Gary, it's about 1,000.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
That's still a decent amount of house to drive by.
Yeah, let me try to put
Better
it
get
up
going.
here. Pull it up there.
There you go.
Anybody else? As I pull it up here?
I have a question that's kind of off topic a little bit.
Sure.
If there's a, say, the land was bought like prior to, say 2 years ago.
Okay.
I can go back retro and look at that information and see how much that particular person paid for it and.
If the information is in the assessor webpage, yes. If it's in there.
Well, if it's not, then I'm just.
Yeah, then it may be tough. You can try to use like MLS data if there's, if there's some data on previous sales, but yeah, it may be a little tough. I mean, most of them are in there. So let me just pull up the original list here. So here's the original list. You got your property ID, your sale ID, legal description, location, address, owner, the amount due before and after, property address is all that. Yeah, ours. It actually has the land use code and the land use in there, so it'll actually tell you what it is. Theoretically, if the assessor's correct in the first place. But it can save you time. Those are mailed to addresses. Right. We use it because we direct mail them. Because you can buy it at tax sale and then I'll buy it anyways. But you get, if I buy it, you get paid, right?
You eventually paid us, right?
Yeah. It works out good. So there's the land uses, that's what it looks like, you know, here's a commercial parking lot. You know, maybe you want gas stations, so you could just do a search for gas stations in there. If you're gonna buy gas stations, make sure you know, do your research for IDEM stuff, which, you know, has to do with pollution and all those sort of good things.
You only do Lake County?
I always did, yeah. I always did. Porter County is very similar. Most of the counties are the same that are run, you know, the rules are all the same across Indiana. The process may be slightly different, who you talk to, where you go, but SRI does, like, pretty much the entire state as far as treasurer sales.
Do you know if any city publishes their demo list?
Almost all of them do.
They
They
do?
ask for it. You're probably gonna have
Do
to
you
fill out a.
research that? Do you look at that?
Oh,
before you buy
absolutely.
these?
That's a good point, because, like East Chicago, if the property's vacant and it's over 4 units, and the city knows it, it can no longer be more than a 4 unit. So if you're gonna buy a 20-unit apartment complex and it's vacant, it's never happening. You're not getting permits for it. So you might as well demo it.
So you're just checking with each
Yeah,
city,
so-
so you're driving by them and then you're.
Well, like East
That's
Chicago
the
can't be
step.
obvious if it has a big X on it.
Yeah.
You know, like there's pretty obvious, but that's when it's really ready. But like Hammond, you gotta go play the game, fill out the freedom of information request a lot of times. In the city attorney's office, request the demo list, don't cry about it, because they probably got 100 people just like you requesting it. Just request it, just check. I mean, you don't, just because it's on the demo list doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad deal, but I can tell you from experience that if it's on the demo list, it's probably nearing the end, and if they have permits on it or it's a problem property, they're gonna push it through.
Yeah. I bought a few and they were on the list and
Yeah.
they turned out okay, because I worked with them and rehabbed them, but
Yeah.
it would have been nice to know ahead of time if they were
Well,
on
just
the
so you
list
could
or not.
adjust your costs, because you know it's gonna
Right.
cost you significantly more. It was Hammond?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you had to have a demo report.
How hard is it to get the list in Cedar Lake?
For demo
The
list?
demo list.
I don't think I ever got one there. There you know they're demoed. They're falling over. Cedar Lake, you just gotta be careful, make sure they have foundations under it.
Right, but they do have, they have
$50 grand into it.
they call it unsafe building.
They don't
Do they?
want to knock it down. They
And,
don't want.
every
they
time
don't want to-
I
they don't
tried
want
to go in there and get it, and they're like.
They have to give it to you, just fill out a freedom of information request.
Come to the hearing, tell it, they don't.
They have to give it to you if you fill out a freedom of information request. I'll tell you a story about a house in Griffith, right? So Griffith tried to screw me over, say it was illegal, 2 units on one property. They tried it for months, they killed 2 of my sales, tried to hide it for 3 months.
They're gonna tell you.
And they wanted to play games. So finally, the attorney was still playing games. So I just went there and filled out a bunch of freedom of information requests for a bunch of documents asking to prove how it was and who else had been cited for the same thing. As soon as I asked for it, I got what I wanted. Just play the game. They don't have a choice. They can't deny it. Can't deny it. You're asking for a specific
So
list.
you just ask them for the form and then.
Freedom of
The
information
challenge
request.
with like Hammond is they want you to give a specific address, because they don't have the general list, so.
If you give date ranges and everything, you have to be somewhat specific. That's the problem with freedom of information requests that people don't do. Is they're so generic that they get denied. They're like, oh, I just want to know if your property, whatever, that's been tagged for grass liens or something. Even that, I've seen wholesalers get lists of code violations in Hammond. They fought a lot for it, but if somebody, here's the thing, somebody goes and gets a demo list, just share it with other people, who cares? That's what we do. If I had it, share it.
there any commercial property on that list?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Some of the, some of the best plays are commercial stuff where it may not redeem. Because they have, there's a scale, right? They're not talking about, $5,000 for the taxes. They might be talking 100, 200, 300. But in commercial, keep in mind too that your costs are more. So, it's not like buying a house. You're gonna be in it for a significant amount. If you're gonna buy dry cleaners, be prepared to have issues, because dry cleaners always have issues, soil issues, everything else. Don't do that. If you're gonna buy stuff that was a gas station, anything that's just be, I'm not saying you can't make money on them, people do, but you guys ever seen a gas station on like Main Street in Crown Point that's just been vacant for years? It's been up for tax sale, like, I don't know, Tom would probably know better than me, but I swear like a dozen people have bought it. I don't even know, like, I think they probably collected $1 million worth of taxes on that place by now. But then they realize all the gas and oil has leached down in the ball fields and everything.
Yeah, the EPA.
Yeah, so I'm guessing people just keep surrendering their money, but that's why. That's why those properties sit there for years, nobody wants to do anything with them.
I was told if you end up with a property like that, and if you let it go back into tax sale, and it's in your name, and it gets sold as a tax sale property again, that you no longer can purchase tax sale properties because you have a tax? Because you let one of your properties go in tax sale. I don't know if that's true, that's why.
Well, you and I both know from bidding live that a lot of people there owe taxes, so I would beg to differ that. It would depend on the person.
Well, that's why they're asking for $500 up front now.
Yeah. Well, there's people in that room that owe a lot more than 500. Well, first of all, usually you find out before you even get the deed because somebody slaps you upside your head or your attorney says, why the heck did you buy that property? Like, everybody knows that property, you shouldn't have bought it, right? Like everybody tells you, like it was common knowledge after the fact, but I don't think anybody's actually ever took title to that one, have they?
I don't know, that was something that was brought up to me, that if in your past, if your name has ever been on a piece of property that's been sold at a tax sale, that you won't be, if it comes up when they do the registration, you'll be denied.
Ever in the past?
That's, like I said, I don't know if that's true, if it's just a rumor, but that's what I was told.
You just buy it in a different entity?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, or you
do like everybody else
claim it
does,
to
have
somebody
their,
else
yeah.
and then put it in tax sale.
Have everybody else, like everybody else does, put in their wife's name or a different land trust, or
Yeah.
just bring Gina donuts and coffee, and they look the other way, right? It's Lake County. It's true.
There can be a clerical error too. I bought land in Lowell to build the house, and for a year and a half I didn't get a tax bill. They were sending it through the vacant lot. Well, how?
Yeah, it happens.
And that wasn't my fault.
We had two properties that were up for sale because they lost the checks from the title company. So they never paid the taxes, so they had us on the list for this year.
Yeah.
What? It happens.
Yeah.
The county had the check sitting there, they found them. They just never deposited them, so it happens.
And I only found out from looking at my other properties, Wow, I'm gonna tax them.
I mean, it all depends on how much they can search too, because I know for a fact, because I bought that land in Cedar Lake, and then when they transferred that to me after the auction, they forgot to add in part of the parcels. And then, so that guy went to the next tax sale, and they caught him because of his name. And then, so the worst part is like the title company was supposed to transfer those parcels and didn't. And then, so he couldn't bid at the new tax sale, and then he couldn't get rid of the parcels to me because he dissolved the entity. Didn't exist. So he had somebody else bid, but yeah, so they caught him. So I mean, it does happen. But he was on the sale actively. Anything else?
How far back do you have to owe on your taxes for them to show up on tax sale?
Theoretically, miss the fall and then the spring payment.
So when
Theoretically. So you miss the fall of, let's say, 16, and then you miss the spring of 17. Technically. But I say that technically because there's plenty of people that owe multiple years and never go to sale. I don't know how they get around it or what happens, but.
Bring Gina donuts.
There's one over by my property in Cedar Lake, the guy's
Yep,
And he
McDermott
just-
got away with it for
He just
years.
walks in every year and petitions to take it off the sale, and they take it off. He owes like $30,000 in back taxes, and and the house is only worth about
I
$15,000.
think McDermott owed, what, 110 last year on his? Yeah, $1 million house.
Mayor?
His dad. His dad.
No correlation there.
Well, it was in the paper because everybody realized how it hadn't gone to sale. Just fine, whatever. He got caught. So. But yeah, I mean, theoretically it's fallen. Just keep doing it. I guess if you know people, you don't have to worry about it. But I've seen properties that like, I don't know, they have, like, there was one in Munster, it had like $40,000 worth of taxes on it. Like, but where people, so this is one that I found that isn't, I mean, it sucks for people, but when they take a homestead exemption on a property that's not their primary residence, and then they get back billed for all those taxes at one time. We want to talk about the quickest way for somebody to lose a house that really, they may not even know. You know, they're paying their taxes every year, they're paying their taxes every year. Somebody finds out that they weren't assessed right or whatever, boom, they get hit with 30 grand worth of taxes. What are you gonna do? It happens. It happens, I'm telling you it happens. I've bought houses from people, that it happens.
So they filed more than one homestead? Are they even possible?
They're getting a homestead, but the county never, they didn't file for it, but for whatever reason it's on the property or, you know.
So what would happen at the tax time? You guys pay the 30 grand that they owe?
Well, that would be the minimum bid in this case, but yeah, I mean, in that case, like, they're losing their house. They thought everything was fine. You know, all of a sudden they get back billed, for all these taxes.
And they're not coming up with 30 grand.
I mean, if it's a really good house, they will, but, I mean, that's tough for people, right?
Yeah.
You know, you take a typical homeowner, 100 to 120 grand, you know, they got $500 in their savings account, and suddenly tomorrow they gotta come up with 30. What do you do? And that's why we stayed away from stuff like that. But that's another reason you can see huge tax amounts. You're like, wow, this guy's a scumbag, he doesn't pay any taxes, right? But just things happen. So not everybody who's on the tax sale is just, you know, not paying their taxes. Things happen to people. Yeah. Just like people going to foreclosure. Plenty of good people going to foreclosure all the time. It's not that they don't want to make payments, but that's why I strayed away from buying people's personal houses.
Can you find that out on the tax sale though, or on the information, how far back they owe, or is it just one lump number?
It's one lump number usually.
So is that a historical tracking that you can do to know something
I'm
happened?
sure if you went and did enough research, you probably could.
The treasurer's website will show the previous year, but if they make a minimum payment enough to pull it off the sale, you may see multiple years of delinquent taxes, so it's hard to determine how long they've been behind.
If they got hit with an illegal exemption, on the left side of the treasurer's website, you'll see ineligible deduction with a huge amount next to it. That's usually how I know. Or you see like, hey, they owed $1,000 and all of a sudden they owe 40.
Stay away.
Well, I mean,
I'm
not telling you not to buy it, but.
I'm working on one right now that a guy moved away out of state 5 years ago and let his brother live there. Never even crossed his mind about the whole exemption thing, because nobody outside of investors think about that stuff. And then the county audited his taxes last year and hit him with 4 years of the ineligible deduction plus interest plus penalties. And all of a sudden, he has a $30,000 bill. He's like, I can't pay that. So he's gonna lose it, he won't redeem it.
Yep.
A lot of people too don't differentiate between mortgage exemption and homestead. They're just
They don't know.
exemption. It's like they don't realize you get a mortgage on multiple and homestead just on one. A lot of people, like we know, but a lot of people, they just
They have no idea.
exemption and
All they know is their escrow account, you know, their escrow amount went up and whatever, they just keep paying taxes. So I don't know, they don't pay attention. I lost my exemptions one year because I did a refinance. And I had to go fight with them. Shouldn't drop to that, they did. So, anything else? Nothing?
You did a good job, Thank you.
You guys learned a little bit? There's a lot to it, it's not an easy process, there's plenty of money to be made, there's a lot of houses, there's a lot of different plays. Some people buy houses, some people buy lots, some people try to go for commercial. Don't be discouraged by the ton of people bidding and everything else. There's stuff for everybody. There's 10,000 people trying to wholesale properties just like I do. There's there's stuff out there.
Some people just bid to place their money someplace to get the interest and they don't
Yeah.
even care about the house.
Yeah, maybe you wanna buy houses to get interest. You know, maybe you don't really want the house, you just wanna get interest, so get stuff that's likely to redeem.
I'll take your money.
5%, that's exciting.
I'll use your money,
Yeah.
put it to good use.
Is it better to do the online versus the live ones? Which one do you prefer?
I think live.
The live ones you like better?
Yeah, because I just like, just bidding like crazy.
Live's more exciting.
Like we always, like on the live ones, we always used to, like for the first day or so, I mean, we had lists of hundreds that we were bidding on, just like overpay and crush everybody for the first day or so. So by the end of, after lunch, you're like,
They're demoralized.
those guys, well, no, they were still there, but they're like, all their hands are again, just whatever.
They just go home.
Yeah, because they just get discouraged.
Yeah.
So, it works for certain bidders. The guys who bid by the numbers, people like me, you stick to your number for the most part.
In the treasurer sale, when you, if it's say an $8,000 certificate,
Okay.
and it goes up to 15 grand, that surplus, that won't be applied to the taxes, right? You used to be able to apply that extra surplus to the taxes.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean?
Future taxes?
Yeah, future taxes. Is if you pay if you're paying 15,000,
There's a 7 grand variance.
there's a 7 grand,
Yeah.
and that 7,000 would go would pay the taxes for the 1 year redemption. That surplus. When I first started doing it, and then they changed it, I think.
Yeah,
And
well,
haven't
I don't, they're not gonna do that because they're gonna pay the homeowner the surplus.
Okay, so all of it goes to the.
Yep.
If they ask for it.
If they ask for it. Otherwise, there's a few pirates I know that'll be telling them they can get it. But they've limited it down, I think, 10%.
I think that was the reason why they stopped doing it, because I think
Yeah.
when I first started doing it,
Yeah, I believe
the
it.
first year I did it, they were paying.
Yeah, because the overage money minus all the fees, everything are going to the owner. And rightfully so. We bought a house at Sheriffsdale, you know, it's in White Oak, you know, almost 400 grand for it, she only owed 80. So if they have the ability to go after you, if it sells for less, then they have to give you the money if it goes over. So in her case, she'll get a pretty good check. Easiest sale ever, right?
Yeah.
Move out's a little inconvenient. Anything else?
She saved the commission on the real.
She did, she saved the commission.
She probably made more money doing it.
The moving company might be free too, it depends.
Yep.
If she wants to cooperate or not.
Cash for keys.
Redeem it, then you move forward.
Just for 90 days.
Yeah.
It used to be.
Anything else? Process, research?
I didn't know.
Email. Put on this.
Now.
Yep, just, do I have cards back there?
How long have you been doing this?
I started at the end of 2011 and then mostly 2012 on. So, I don't, tax and investing's not my primary business, it's wholesaling now, so we just wholesale, we buy direct from selling, and wholesale to other investors.
So why do you put this on the?
Just meet people, network. Get buyers out of it.
When you give your cost estimate for notifying, was that for doing the first notifying and second notifying?
Yes,
Yeah.
but it doesn't include any further, like if they take it to court, like I used to pay like, I don't know, $250 an hour or whatever it cost to take it further.
So the more they drag it on, then your cost can skyrocket.
Yeah, yeah. And tax sale certificates are assignable too, just like purchase contracts. So, I mean, if you know wholesalers assign contracts, you can assign a tax sale certificate too. So, like my old partner had one this year where he bought it and the person in there was buying it on a land contract and they got screwed, of course. I mean, that's usually how it goes, right? They were making the payments, but the landlord wasn't. And so they came to him and said, hey, you know, we're getting divested of the property as a result of him losing it. Will you sell us the certificate? You know, we can either go pay the taxes for whatever the number was, 15, or we can give you 10, and he only owned it for 5. So he assigned it to them, made a quick 5, doesn't do anything else, gone. So you can assign that certificate too. It's going to work in certain situations. It's easy money. Got to be the right situation too, but work for him. I've done it with banks before too. We had one, they said the check got delayed because of Hurricane Katrina or something. So I think we ended up signing it back to them or something. Banks always have an excuse.
So we waited till the last date or he overnighted the check on Thursday. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
If you guys want the list, just see me after, we'll have cards. You can shoot me an email. And
Good to meet you. We enjoyed it.
All right.
I'll see you.